I'm done.
That's it.
This interview is over. I said blue M&Ms.
Yeah, like we were talking about before you came in, the movie 10 Cloverfield Lane. Mm-hmm. Did you see it?
I loved it.
Dude.
Saw it twice.
I think all of us have seen it here. There's no spoilers, right?
Yeah.
It's been too late. Well, Mike, you haven't seen it, right?
Have you seen it?
No.
Are you going to see it? 10 Cloverfield Lane? Do this.
Twisty? Is it like Shyamalan or what?
It's super
It's good.
twisty. It's super twisty.
It's like a Twilight Zone.
Or like X-Files or something.
Yeah. And from what I understand, anything with Cloverfield in it from Bad Robot is just another one in the series, like another weird story. They're not. It's no.
Okay, well this is why I wanted to ask you, because you like the movie, right?
Yeah.
Because we loved the movie.
This is good.
Oh, it's already up. Like you. Okay, well, whatever. We'll just leave it. So we started talking about 10 Cloverfield Lane today, and I thought it was amazing. But I sort of knew, because like we have a couple friends that worked in the movie, you know, a couple in like knowing what those guys do.
Yeah.
As far as like design, I was like, okay, this has got to go somewhere in that direction.
It's like Kurt and
Eric Keller
and Eric
and
Keller, yeah.
Moran's Eric Keller, who just does bugs and insects
You're just
mostly.
like,
so like, yeah. So I was like, okay, this has got to go this way. But when you're watching the movie, you have no idea that it's going to turn.
You have none.
But like for
And
me,
there's just like twist after twist after twist. Yeah.
yeah.
You're just like,
What was great is John Goodman was like
Oh wait. Go back. Go back. Wait, is this the new?
yeah, we posted it. We posted the recap webinar. You can watch it.
Wait, what's the array mesh?
We got a new one coming out.
What
we
the
got more
hell is
stuff,
happening?
dude. We don't stop, man. We just keep making stuff,
Dude,
you know?
I'm so bummed that somebody else figured out my trick.
Oh, dude. Well, you shared it. Didn't you share it?
No.
Oh, I thought you did.
It was funny. I showed it to like Steve Jung and a bunch of other like environmental painters.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Don't put this out there."
Really? Because they're like,
he goes,
because you're gonna.
Because they were like, "You're gonna get
onslaught of-
untrained. You're gonna get untrained artists. Like, you know, they're just gonna use ZBrush and they're not gonna use their fundamentals." And I was just like,
It's
well,
true.
Yeah,
I understand that, but I mean, at the end of the
Deadlines,
day,
man.
yeah, sure, deadlines. that showing that is speaking to the people that are already doing that stuff, anyways, and hopefully they do have those skills. But it's a gray area, man. It's like when you teach people to sculpt. You know, are you going to go in and show them how to do all these other features, or are you just going to talk about the sculpture part? You know, like just basic techniques.
Well, that's what I feel like I like about like Brainstorm School. I like that about the schoolism classes and stuff like that. They're very much rooted in fundamentals. Yeah. Where there's a lot of schools out there where it really just feels like it's just nothing but tips and tricks.
Sure.
Like you're just learning how someone did something specific.
Right.
And then you're like, well, that didn't teach me anything.
And the question is, where's the real education? Like, where you get the foundations, right? Oh, I was just saying, like, education, like teaching. It is tough because, like, there's so much stuff out there, too. There's people on YouTube posting things, and I
mean, it's all good. It's all good, but, like, I think that the message that it's sending to a lot of younger artists is it's more about tips and tricks and speed than it is foundation, and that's the wrong way to go.
It's always foundation first, and then you can do the tips and tricks to make things quick, for sure. Yeah. But no, I wanted to get back to 10 Cloverfield Lane because like I thought it was such a great movie. My girlfriend hated it, but you know, it speaks to us because it was that kind of a twist at the end that was like, you know, they made it all about the drama, and John Goodman was such a like polarizing character. Oh yeah. That you're like, I don't know if they're actually going to take this to the monster creature route at the end, you know, because he's like, it was just all about him.
Spoilers.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it by now, guaranteed, you know, you're not gonna see it.
No, it was really great. It was I thought it was shot beautifully. I think that Dan Trachtenberg did a great job.
Agreed. It was his first feature, no?
Yeah,
first
I believe
feature
so.
with Bad Robot.
Yeah. I've actually done work with him before. He's a super nice guy. Yeah. And to see him to be a fan of the Totally Rad show. Yeah. All the way to where he's like, he did the Portal short, which was phenomenal. And then
he's the one that did the Portal short.
Yeah, he did the Portal short.
Oh, gosh.
And like a slew of other little short films.
That makes sense now.
It's just awesome. I'm so happy for him, like that he's gotten
features.
He's gotten a feature, and killed it.
It's only going to
Killed
lead
it
to
on
good
its
things
first go.
because it was amazing. He almost shot it kind of like JJ does a little bit, or it had that like Bad Robot kind of feel to it, I think, in some way. I don't know how that like translates through, but somehow it felt like it did.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
I could see it. But yeah, man, like first I want to say thanks for coming in.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
anytime.
like there was
Thanks
one
for
thing,
having me.
dude. Of course, there's one thing that I wanted to bring up because it was a couple years ago. What is it? 2016 now. In 2015, we had our first official sculpt off competition.
Yes.
And you were the champion for hard surface.
Yes, I was.
And
yes.
we have a belt. I don't know. We don't have any pictures of the belt online or anything, but. Like I just thought it was so funny because like we're friends on Facebook and we only had the one belt at the time, but we weren't allowing the guests to keep it for more than like a week, right? Like you had it for a week or so,
Yeah.
Then you had to turn it back in. But I heard you made a copy of it.
Yes, yes. It's one of those moments like I still to this day I still can't believe that I won that. I was literally about to leave, and I remember Paul being like, "Don't go anywhere, like don't go anywhere." And then he would kept.
You were
messing
nervous,
with me.
you know. I remember
I was
that.
very,
You were
very nervous. I was
You were
very
kind of
nervous.
like, so what are the numbers?
Well, I was
know?
like, I have a shot at this.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, we got the
my
belt.
God.
There. Yeah,
Memories.
in all its glory. It's a nice
this
belt.
is Furio's now.
Yes, it is. Furio. Hey, man, come back again next year. This year.
I know.
This year for sure.
I know. Look at this thing.
Yeah, man, just drape it
I
over
don't
your
know if you
shoulder.
guys- yeah, this
drape
thing
it
is-
over your shoulder. It's
This
just,
thing is
memories.
no joke. It's not plastic. It's metal.
this is exactly how I saw you. And what was so funny is like every time I would see you with it, like in a photo, like you'd have it over your shoulder, but you'd be in like a new place, like you were in like a different city at some conference, or
Yeah.
like I swear I saw you somewhere in Dubai or something.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
like, I just thought that was so great. But
Yeah, it's funny. It's a lot of places. I remember I took it to, was it GDC or Comic-Con, and I did that for the Wycombe folks. And
Yeah.
it's funny. Like everyone wants me to bring it, and I'm just like,
Well,
listen, it's
party
it's
tricks,
heavy,
man. Those are party
and-
tricks.
Yeah.
like that's the belt guy. Let's
It's
do like the
it's
the
really
champ.
funny to see TSA open it up, and they're just like, "What is this?" And I'm like,
what is it? What
I
do you
just
mean
say I
by
like
hard
wrestling.
surface champ? What does that mean exactly?
I'm like, it's adults only. It's type conversation.
Adults only. That's great.
But yeah, no.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
man.
it's been a trip, and yeah, I definitely have a replica in my office, and it's like right
As
above
you
my
should.
desk.
Like a true
And I love
ZBrusher.
it. I love it.
We appreciate
I can't
that.
believe that I won this thing.
Come back and take it back. You know.
Yeah, I got to.
We'll be
I
doing
got
another
to.
one for sure.
Yeah.
So I mean, since then I know that you're a super busy guy, and we've had a chance to catch up a little bit. But like, what have you been up to? What's going on in your life right now?
So things kind of changed. I guess the gearbox at Ironklad, and we're starting to kind of get out of just being a concept house role and more of like possibly an asset house or a production house. We're starting to get into the realm of VFX and doing more 3D printing stuff. So it's going to be like digital prop.
That's amazing.
So you'll be able to follow the pipeline. Literally, we have a new reel that's getting ready to come out. That it just shows from concept to prop fabrication.
Yeah.
From concept to VFX model to game model to collectible toy. It makes no sense to go to multiple houses to do it when you could do it all right then and there.
Yeah.
There's no reason to develop a toy for say the newest Star Wars at the time that you're filming.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
or the time that you're designing it. Like, keep in mind, having that mindset, I think is what's really going to propel us forward. And doing new things. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, for those that don't know, I mean, you're the creator and founder of Ironklad Studios. And you guys have a ton of. Well, actually, first I did want to mention. The official slogan on your website is "We are Ironclad, we build worlds," which I think is such an extraordinary and epic title.
Well, thank you.
But yeah,
Thank
but
you.
it's and if I look at if we ramble off some of your projects, like some of the big ones and I would say very successful ones would be you guys worked on League of Legends, Goosebumps. One of our fan favorites, within the company is Tom Clancy's The Division.
Yes.
We love that game. We're obsessed with that game.
We did some really cool animatics. Those will be launching soon, I believe, on our website to show what we did. I think, yeah.
Other ones, Just Cause 3, Halo 5. This one I didn't. I was actually very interested in the Shannara
The Shannara Chronicles?
the MTV
Yeah.
show.
We did a lot of environment work for that one.
Okay.
That one was a really fun job because we were pretty much brought on from the very, very beginning.
It's a lot of like monsters and creatures as well, right?
Mm-hmm. It's very fantasy based.
Driven.
It's very like Lord of the Rings-ish meets like Walking Dead, in my opinion. I've watched probably about 6 episodes of it so far.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to see some of the artwork that we did like a year ago.
Yeah.
Like come to fruition and like with all the VFX and everything. Right. And it's just like, okay, well, seeing that happen really made me rethink how I want to do the company and how I want to see things all the way through.
Right.
Just because it's just such a fun job.
Sure. And as far as that goes for you guys, so these are the days when you guys are particularly working in concept design at that point for them.
Yeah.
So you guys are concepting this stuff in 2D to 3D, basically?
So on that project, I believe there was about 3 of us that were working on it. And some of it was painted, some of it was sculpted. But that's one of those things that really kind of sold us as a company where we were like, look, if we sculpt some environment pieces out, you can just put it in a CNC machine and mill it out, and it could be foam and you paint it to look like stone and you're good to go.
Sure.
And that's the kind of stuff that I don't think people really understand with the power of ZBrush. You can touch almost, 30 different markets if you're a ZBrush artist.
Well, and that's the thing is we live in such an interesting time right now where methods of production are changing always. Obviously, software in general is always growing and there's always something, new. And in the idea of going from 2D to 3D is such a, I think some people are still catching on to that, or maybe not. I mean, as far as your experiences with all of these projects, have you ever come across a studio that just wants you to do something in 2D or focus on just drawing?
Yeah.
Yeah. And is there ever a specific reason? Because I'm always curious.
It's usually someone who's not familiar with the process.
Right. And that's kind of what I was kind of leaning towards is that I think there's just a disconnect with what people expect or how it used to work and how it, where it's going now with all that's, available at 3D and 3D printing, even VR, all of these things that are coming out now. So,
I mean, it's like the good rule of thumb is, whenever a client comes to you and I always tell this story. It's one that I've heard from Matt Winston, Stan Winston's son.
Yep.
You always got to give the customer what they want, but if you really, really believe that you can do something better, then show them.
Yeah.
And if those of you that are listening, check out what the original Predator was supposed to look like.
Right.
That was one of those jobs where that's what they were asking for, so you have to give it to them. But then, I believe it, I could be wrong, but it could be, I think it was Crash McQuarrie did a drawing, and it was like, well, what do you think of this? And they were like, they're
that eventually
away.
Became what
and
it
that's
was
what you
on,
see today.
Screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just that's what you have to do.
Sure.
You always have to give them what they want.
Yeah.
But always give them more if you can.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, those are some friends of ours, Steve Wang and Brian Wade.
Dude.
Practical sculptors, legends.
So impressed by those guys.
Yeah,
Jeez.
Totally.
Every time I see a new League of Legends statue or a World of Warcraft statue,
the one that they did recently, I saw. I think Brian shared on social medias, but it was the big. I don't know the character's name. Sorry, League of Legends fans. I don't know all the characters because there's so many. The big giant bear. What is it called?
Do you know his name? Just Teddy or something.
Is it just Teddy?
Yeah, it's. I can't remember her name.
Oh, they did an incredible job with that.
Yeah,
piece.
Oh yeah.
I remember going into their
the fur and the glowing bits, the fire inside.
Yeah.
Oh, it's amazing.
We were in their studio for I forget why. It was a couple of us ZBrush guys over there, and they had it was before it was all finished. It was just the clay version, but it was
massive,
life size basically.
Yeah.
They do incredible work. But
did you ever see the one the latest BlizzCon?
Well, what character was it? I think there's one that I'm thinking of here. Hellscream.
He had the axe and
I do remember that one. Anyways, dude, all of those characters, everything that they do is fantastic.
Yeah.
But there were some other ones that I wanted to talk about as far as what you guys are doing at Ironclad. You guys also have Star Citizen, which was a great game.
We worked on that briefly. It was a really fun experience.
That's an interesting concept for a game, right?
It's a big feat.
Open world kind of experience that people have always wanted, that you sort of got with Fallout 3, which is one of and that was the time, the days where I was just a massive gamer. I was what I loved about Fallout was with 3 specifically, that was on the 360, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
wait, 3 or 4?
3.
4 is on the Xbox
4
One.
is in the new one.
Yeah,
that's the latest next gen. But Fallout 3.
I made some beast
you should work with
houses.
Michael. Michael's.
I made some massive tree houses.
I don't know. What do you got going over there? Michael's got like a whole town, I think.
I do too. I have a walkway going around the entire town for guard duty. Yeah, man. I love that.
You can have a bridge now? I remember it. See, listen, I don't have that kind of time these days, guys.
What?
You can have like gladiator
I don't have time for this. I don't have time.
It's
That's the trade-off, everyone.
Sure.
When you work with games, you don't really get to play them that much.
Oh, exactly. That's kind of where I was going to go with that. Is, to play the Division, we had to like bring it into work and do it on our lunch breaks.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the only way that we can find time is like I don't have time to drive home and I commuting to work and so it gets in the way. But lunch break is like, yep, okay, fire up the PS4 and we got the controllers and we get together and run a couple missions and it's good. But it's that kind of stuff is also inspiring for us, because as an artist, you play these games and I draw inspiration from the things that we sort of work on and work alongside with people like you guys. And
it's probably one of the most beautiful games I've seen.
It is
and fun.
Yeah,
like I mean I hate saying this, but I'm only like level 7. But like
it's out there.
The
Everybody
time that I've
knows now.
Played, I've get sucked in for an hour or two at a time, and I'm like, oh man, this is so good. Like I don't want to stop.
Well, I mean, it's understandable with the kind of stuff that you guys are doing. And there was one project that I did want to ask you. You've also done some work with Taylor Swift.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Could you tell me a little bit about that?
So I mean, that was a really fun project. I got to work with the director Joseph Kahn, and he does a lot of her music videos. He's probably one of the most prominent like commercial music video directors, I think, in LA right now.
Oh wow!
And getting to work with him on that project was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And kind of surreal. Like I believe I was traveling, and I'm just sitting there painting in the hotel room, and I'm just like, life is so weird. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like life is so weird, you know. And ironically, I'm getting ready to work with him on something else.
Wow. Okay. So then could you do us a favor? Just find some way to slip a laptop with ZBrush on it, and we can somehow get Taylor Swift
to play with ZBrush.
I don't know how that's possible, but we'll come up with a version that we can use that will just simplify everything and make it super easy, and she can make something.
Yeah,
that'd be great. Because then we won't have to do this podcast, and our job will be done. Everybody will know what ZBrush is, and then we can move on.
You just win.
Yeah, it's like ultimate win. You just like have a big W. It's a ZBrush and underscore win.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be a good time. He always brings me fun and interesting jobs, so I really enjoy working with him.
That's cool. That sounds really interesting. Well, there's a ton of stuff that I want to talk to you about as far as other projects and kind of what goes into that. But first, part of the reason why we want to sit with you is like we've gotten to know you over the years, within the company. You've worked with us to do presentations and sort of helping us spread the word. But we want to get to know you.
The Bible of ZBrush.
The Bible of ZBrush, right? The ZBrush word, door to door. We don't go door to door. But
sometimes they do.
Okay, just once in a while. Once a month, that's it.
Yeah.
But it's I think that there's an interesting story behind every artist. And outside of just, the technical stuff, I think that there's some similarities between all of us, especially working in visual effects and 3D modeling. As far as us at the current age that we're at, I mean, you're young and you're in your prime, right?
Ish.
And young-ish. Well, hey, man, let's just go. We'll go with young.
We'll just skip over that part of the...
Cut that out. He's young. But I think that like us growing up in a certain era, technology's growing, and we've got, like you said, 3D printing, VR, computers dominate our lives, but we sort of come from a time right when all of this stuff was jumping into what it is now, right? So, like as a kid, I kind of want to know more about what you were like. Like, where are you from originally?
So originally, I'm from Rochester, Illinois, which is like a smaller town right outside of Springfield, Illinois. And I lived there for probably most of my life. Right out of high school, I left and lived in California the first time.
Yeah,
and I lived in Santa Barbara, and it was great. And ended up going to like City College out there just very briefly, and UCSB very briefly for cinematography.
Oh wow!
And I ended up I don't know what it was. Like I was just really young, and like somebody just told me, they were like, "Yeah, if you don't know somebody in this business, like you're just never gonna get a job." And I was like, well, great, and then I quit school. I literally, like 2 days later, I was like, I'm not going to be able to do this.
Wow.
And
that affected you that much.
Yeah, well, I was just like, well, I really wanted to work in film, and I had my heart set on that.
Sure.
And
was it film specifically? You wanted to direct?
Yeah, I wanted
to be a cinematographer?
I just wanted to be a cinematographer. I didn't really want to be a director. I just wanted to, I guess play with lighting and play with all the cool toys and that kind of stuff. And that I still get a hankering, from time to time.
Yeah.
But after that was done, I ended up moving back home, and I didn't do anything creative for like 8 years.
Wow.
And it was terrible.
Well, let's go back. I mean, so growing up, I mean, even before you kind of had any idea of what animation and visual effects was, because I mean, those days, the early stages, for me, it was when Pixar came out, when Pixar, Toy Story, and you start to see the possibilities on screen. But before that, I mean, were you drawing? Were you I really wanted to be a comic book artist. Yeah. Okay.
I really, really I remember in high school that was the only thing that I would do for homework.
Right.
They'd be like, draw an apple, and I would be like, I'd draw a comic book about an
Spider-Man.
apple, or something,
Oh, okay.
And that was a lot of fun. And then there's a lot of school programs in the Midwest that I worked really, really hard to do really well, because somehow magically I thought there was going to be like a scholarship for me.
Right.
No.
So you were studying as far as like the college aspect, you were studying fine arts, or was it an actual animation program?
Well, so that was just in high school.
Or in high school. Okay.
Yeah.
Right,
I took 4 years of it, and like the fourth year was like an independent study, and you got to do whatever projects you wanted, and it was like really, really cool in that regard. And the moment I went into like a community college setting, like that's just not how it was.
Yeah.
And I was noticing that I was being retaught the same things that I was being taught in high school. And I was just like, well, no, I want to move
This isn't where
past,
you want to be. Right.
So, and you just get berated by negative people sometimes in your life. Where they're just like, what, you're never going to be able to support yourself, or this and this and this doing that. And it's like, it gets to you, and you then sooner or later you start to believe it.
Sure. The road, especially art in general, it's a tough road. It takes
very tough.
You have to sort of like out of sheer willpower have to make it happen a lot of times. I think most people in this industry have a unique story like that, where you have people telling you that it can't be done. There's no jobs in that. But now look at in the world that we live in now, there's so much opportunity. For a digital artist. Yeah, and they don't even know, so
I don't even think my mother knows what
I was going to say, speaking of that. I don't think
she understands.
Because I think it's so funny. God bless their hearts. My mom and my sister, any of my family members, if I go home, I haven't been home in a little while, but if I tell them, what I do or what I've been up to, it's always just kind of like, oh yeah, but you can tell. You can read on their face. They have no idea what you do.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, okay,
right, yeah, okay. That sounds good. That's great.
One of the funniest things that anybody ever told me, they were like, I was getting ready to like go out to Noman, and I was trying to ask family members to help me. I go, this is my one last shot. I actually got into the school, so I need help figuring this out. And at the time, the general consensus was like, you're too old to start something new. And I was just like, well, I don't want to live in a world where that's true. So I just moved.
Wow.
I just moved, and I was like, well, I'll go as long as I can. And but one of the things that a family member told me was just like, do you really think that you're going to, go out there and draw Ninja Turtles and make a living? And I was just like,
did you have any idea what that meant? As far as
no, I had no idea.
Like you just said, I'm going to do this. And
I originally wanted to do. I really wanted to do just straight modeling, but when I was at Noman, I started doing more matte painting and like being it like kind of transitioned me back into doing like wanting to do a concept art, and there'll be people along the way that say that you can't do that, or like the market's too flooded, and it's hard. It's a hard way to get in, but I guess what I'm saying is when it comes to ZBrush, the amount of things that you can do now with 3D printing and VR and like there's never been a greater need for modelers or sculptors. There's never been. You know what I mean?
It is a really nice time. It is a great time to be in this industry right now, for sure.
It is.
Well, like all the, like you said, you guys are going into all these different types of industries now, not just focusing on concept art, right? Because you guys are breaking into more production, and you want to start doing actually creating assets, creating characters, environments.
Yeah. And not just for VFX, for toys as well. You know, like we're currently working on some really cool Marvel sculpts right now.
I think you had as one of your recent projects was sculpt a Captain Marvel sculpt. I believe,
our artist Justice Joseph. He did that for Sideshow Collectibles.
Sideshow. It looked like a Sideshow piece.
And I'm a huge are amazing. Sideshow fan. My wallet cries whenever anything new comes out.
Have you been to their studio?
No, I have not. And I've been dying to go.
I'm
glad that you can't buy things there.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
That's not good.
It's all like their like official like pieces basically, and then everything else is walled up in glass. But we were lucky enough to go there a little while ago, and their place, you walk in there and it's just like eye candy for days. Like we spent the whole day there. Oh yeah. You know, we were shooting some stuff, and then turned out we just hung out for a little bit.
Who's your contact over there?
David Igo.
Dude, Igo is one of the coolest dudes.
Definitely one of the coolest dudes, man. So that guy, so awesome. Talk about somebody that marches to the beat of their own drum. He's Igo. Yeah, Igo, man. We get a chance to see him. I haven't seen him in a while, but you know, the expo's here in LA. Mm-hmm. We're lucky enough to live in a bubble of, you know, a ton of stuff going on. Creative Talent Network, 3D Printer Expo, which I think is no longer happening.
I don't think it's happening here, but that just means that someone else will all.
Yeah, there's going to be a need. Just 3D printing is huge, right? Yeah, right. But I mean, I do kind of want to go back to this, like as far as how you came out here, because I think that's really important. You went to Noman.
Yeah, I went to the Noman School of Visual Effects in Hollywood, California, and I went there to be a part of the 3-year program. Mm-hmm. And I ended up not being able to go for the full amount, but in a year and some change, you know, I was able to up my game, and I treated, you know, every homework assignment like a portfolio piece. Yeah,
you were focused at that point.
You know, I think it was maybe my age, or I was a little bit older. Mm-hmm. But I realized that, like, for me, it really was, I hate to sound like dramatic, but this was my last shot to do art. Yeah. It really was. It was my last go at it, or I was just going to be like, well, I guess I'll be a Walmart greeter or something. I don't know, you know.
Right, sure.
Nothing against people that do that, but I'm just like, I just didn't want to do that. But you know, it was tough times. It was, you know, when you take a look at the prices of living in LA, you know, plus school, paying for tuition and feeding yourself, I think the total amount of money I had to pay was probably around $1,200 or $1,300 a month just to survive. Right. And I was only getting, as a full-time student, like $800. Wow. So I had to hustle and like do freelance stuff. Like I still did like flyers and restaurant menus and stuff from California. I just didn't tell I never told my clients that I left.
Right. Wow, that's amazing.
I was just like,
so you're just leaving.
Hopefully they never want to come
stay
over.
Open. just always say yes. That's the thing, is like, oh yeah, and then you figure out a way to make it work.
You grow really quickly, but that can also get you into trouble. Mm-hmm. You know,
if you're overworked or you have too many projects on your plate, you can't deliver.
There was a recent job where I took too much on, and I was just like, it was just with a person that you never want to say no to, mm-hmm. and I ended up, you know, not being able to continue to work on it because I couldn't give it 120%. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it sucks, but that's a lesson that you'll listen to this and you'll go, yeah, that's not me. Right. At one point, it will happen and you'll be bummed and it sucks, but...
Yeah, absolutely.
It's one of those you got to learn on your own.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's I go back to the willpower thing is, you know, for somebody like you coming from the Midwest, and it was sort of not a last hurrah, but it was like your
it felt
best
like my
foot
last
forward into making this a reality. Mm-hmm. And in reality, this stuff is not. This isn't. You know, there's so many people that are trying to get into this industry and that want to work in games and film, but a lot of it requires. It's a lot of work. You know,
it's a lot of work, and if you're not willing to give 110%, right. you just. I mean, the likelihood you just cut your likelihood in half, and it's already hard. Right. You know, so you really, really have to up your game. You know, it's things like opening up ZBrush Central and, you know, or ArtStation or anything like that. And, and you see the sculpts that everybody else are producing. And if you're not anywhere near that, you're not going to get work. Yeah. You know, or if you do, it's not going to be enough to sustain you. Right. And I've still been an avid believer in, you know, if someone wants to pay you less than what you're worth for any kind of an artistic job, don't do it. You're better off doing that on a personal piece.
Right.
Because you own that, and that's your marketing, right? You know, like the job you're going to get by constantly doing personal work is going to be far better than the band cover that you wanted to, you know,
sure, because you have those skills that you can acquire from that process, and then eventually it helps. It helps on that road to those 10,000 hours of mastering that thing that you do, right?
Yes.
I mean, for you, you're a really hardworking guy. Obviously, like from the moment you probably
all the time.
How many hours of sleep do you think you get?
Probably
average.
An average 5.
5 a night?
5 a night.
Oh wow! And you don't drink coffee. We were talking about this earlier. You don't drink coffee.
No, I'm
You're
pretty
a
much
lunatic.
addicted to soda, and that's terrible.
Oh, you still
I really got to stop that. They've been good at the office. I drink about one. Maybe I'll sneak in one more every day, but you know. I'm getting better about it. And,
do you have any other vices or something out there that you just can't stop? Energy drinks, maybe? Or?
No. I steered away from that stuff just because I didn't like what it was doing.
Yeah,
like I felt ill. Like
the effects are long.
I'll have one once in a while.
Sure.
Like maybe once every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Or if I know I need to be up and I'm super, super exhausted, then I'll try some of those. But like I usually just try to take it easy on that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But everything in moderation.
Sure, of course. I mean, we all say that, but then, and then I drink 8 cups of coffee a day, and then
you're like, Starburst bits.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We were talking about the Starburst bits earlier.
Yeah.
And then also
not good for you either.
The Skittles, they apparently removed lime from lime and replaced it with what?
We should start a petition to.
This is it. This is the official
Obama.
firm.
Yes, bring up a graphic.
Can we bring up a graphic for the Starburst? For this? No, but
they're like, what are we watching?
As far as this, like you're drinking a ton of soda, but you're doing this while you're working, right? And you're working all the time.
Yeah, and that's the bad part because you're sitting down, right?
Yeah.
So I try to have one. It's weird because like my craving is like at this point, like I want one first thing in the morning, and then I don't have one until probably 2 or 3.
Oh, that's good. So you're pretty.
I'm trying to
have
wean
good
myself
self-control
off.
for that.
Most days. Most days.
So let's talk about that because you got all these projects that you guys are working on, right? And as a studio, you guys are, some artists are working on different things. But for you, I really want to get to know more of this 2D to 3D process and sort of how that goes for you.
Oh, okay.
Because you're sitting with sometimes you're sitting with directors or I don't know, maybe creative directors or different levels of people that have an idea.
Oh yeah,
and they come to you guys and they're saying, "We want you to make this a reality. We want you to envision this for us, basically."
Oh yeah, I mean, we've had people that don't even work in the industry come in and they're like, "I'm trying to get this project off the ground, and I need some key marketing art to. It may not even be what the movie's going to look like, but they need something to wow, other people."
Right.
We got really good and fast at doing almost like pitch packages now. So we can do like just 15 or 20 images for a specific price, or we can put an entire book together, which is like, if you really break it down, plus story, that you're looking at 3 movies off one book.
So how much time are you spending on these pitch projects?
It all depends. Like it literally, we've had people come in and be like, "I need this in 2 weeks."
Yeah.
And then you're like, and then we've got ones where it's just like, just take your time and here's a flat fee and for that kind of stuff. So that's kind of nice.
Right.
Being involved that early on. And usually we do it at a different price schedule, or pricing. So it's not the same for like when a studio comes and approaches us. It's different.
Okay. So it varies basically.
Yeah. Usually I would say the best advice to learn is like try to gauge that if you're a freelancer out there, like you should have different pricing, different prices for TV, for film, for publishing,
right?
For game,
And for you, when it comes, I mean, you're designing all different. Like you guys build worlds. That's your stamp. So for you guys, not only is it about building these worlds, right, but it is about speed for you.
Yeah,
I think that's a big part of kind of what makes.
Well, you get a lot out of the time that you put something into it. Like now, whether if someone is doing a 2D painting every day, right, and I'm just doing a sculpt of a character or a costume or something like that, I might not get a finished image until the third day, but then I can also produce like 20 of those before the end of the week.
Right.
And like sometimes when the clients ask you, just like, "Oh, just do 2D," it's just because they don't understand.
Yeah.
Because a majority of the images we produce start out as a 3D sculpt.
Right.
And then, they always get surprised and happy when you're like, yes, well, we can 3D print this out too at the same time. They're like, wait, what?
Okay, that's interesting. So you guys, as far as that process goes, then you were sort of coming up with new maybe techniques, I guess, or new methods of working. Whereas you start with the 3D, you start with the sculpt in ZBrush at this point, and you're sculpting all of these assets, and you're posing. Okay, and then you're taking that to somewhere else to paint. Or paint over for a finished image.
Usually, sometimes it all depends on the pipeline. I may do a rough sculpt and then hand it off to a junior artist to finish off the image, just because I can get it to the quicker, and then without having to explain and gathering a crap ton of reference, I can gather a little bit of reference, do a speed sculpt, and be like, do it like this, and then they'll finish it out, and it's good to go.
That's amazing. Well, I mean, you got some other great projects on here that I wanted to ask you about. Goosebumps. And I mean, that was so fun. I was going to say that had to be a ton of fun because there's all different kinds of monsters and creatures, maybe environments. I don't know if they had any.
A little bit. We didn't really do too much environments. I can't remember his last name. Sean, the production designer on that, handled most of the scouting and the visual look of a lot of the places, which I thought looked great on screen. But when it was before, I think it just got greenlit, and it was myself, Neville Page, and Carlos Huante all working out of one room and coming up with the looks, look dev for a lot of the
You guys were all working in the same room together?
Carlos was working from home because he lives, I believe, close to San Francisco. But Neville and I were here, and then we would probably do Google Hangout sessions.
That's cool.
With the director Rob Letterman.
That's got to be inspiring to be working with some of the top guys in our industry. I mean,
it was an amazing time.
Yeah.
I loved every minute of it.
Because Neville's he's doing Face Off on Sci-Fi Network, but also still working as a character artist and he's got such a great I guess relationship with JJ and and Carlos Huante, of course, is a hugely inspiring artist for all of us.
Yeah, he's totally amazing. Yeah, totally amazing. Yeah.
Are there any what as far as inspiration goes, right? Because I'm sure that your work ethic has gotten you to this point in your artistic abilities, but eventually as you get further into this industry, you sort of become, I guess, well adjusted to how things work, and inspiration can maybe be hard to find for some of us.
It happens.
Yeah.
There's definitely days where you're trying to figure out new ways of doing things, and the best thing you can do is just play.
Yeah,
get in there and play.
What's your go-to, or what's your go-to way to just get inspired for something? Because I know that, knowing you enough, you're like an Uber fan. You're an Uber fanboy.
Yeah,
you love this stuff. In the best way possible.
Yeah, I absolutely love that whole franchise. I love the Marvel stuff.
Yeah,
I love the DC stuff too. It's never been a greater time to be a nerd.
Dude, did you read the, as far as the Star Wars goes, right, before they came out with Force Awakens and Disney took it over, Disney acquired them, they had this whole universe of Star Wars stories, comic books, and things that apparently were written off. Did you read any of those, or were those
I don't want to say that on camera.
No, okay. Those,
too many.
Too many?
Too many. No, there's some really rich history there that I was actually really surprised that they wanted to do a different route.
Yeah.
But hey, when you buy something, you can do whatever you want.
Absolutely.
And I love 7. I'm ashamed to admit that I've seen it probably 14 times.
I was going to ask you that next. How many 14 times you saw it? Where did you go see it? What theaters?
Just for fun, right?
Sure.
And then you study. It's like
Absolutely.
I'm looking at color, color styles, what are some effects that I can input into my designs or the color theory alone,
Sure.
I still, in my opinion, I feel that one cannot do enough color. I still feel like I have barely just a little bit of a grasp on.
And you mean as far as painting techniques?
Well, yeah, like painting
color
techniques
choices?
or color choices.
Right.
I refer to a lot of techniques that I picked up doing graphic design back in the day. But it's it's a pretty crazy time to have all that stuff at your fingertips now.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, there's a ton of movies coming out now. All this stuff. Do you ever feel jaded at all? I mean, working in visual effects and you're working on all these projects, personally as a company. But for you, does it affect your ability to continue to enjoy that process?
Oh, I have this weird ability to turn off what I know about the movie industry and then just go and enjoy stuff.
You're lucky.
Yeah.
I when I go, if there's a movie or anything that I'm really excited about, I remove any chance of watching a trailer or seeing something.
I'm so anti-trailer these days.
It's the worst.
I'll watch one and then that's it.
Yeah, I agree. The teaser, which is officially become like the little spot that just like literally just it teases you, but it doesn't show anything. And then the trailers now, like if you watch anything, Midnight Special's coming out, and I was just ranting about this the other day.
I heard it's really good.
It looks amazing, but I also have seen the trailer by accident, unfortunately. But I'm pretty sure that they show the ending scene of the movie in the trailer, and I can just
spoilers.
Yeah. So don't watch the trailer if you want to go see Midnight Special.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's hard to turn off that that button. The
last movie I was 100% had no idea what the movie was Avatar.
Oh, wow.
I didn't watch anything. I don't remember what I think I was just, it was like, I think it was a point in my life where I was living in Edwardsville or something like that and didn't have a lot of income, I wasn't able to do much, so I just didn't really follow it that much.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember like it opening out and then like the internet just blew up about it, and I was like, okay, well, I have to go see this now before anything gets ruined. And I remember seeing it and then like going out and immediately buying a ticket again and going back in and watching it again and being like, what sorcery is this? Like this is amazing. But yeah, I'm excited that like I know some of the guys that worked on that are still working on Avatar 2. And if those guys are involved, like it's going to be gorgeous.
It's going to be amazing.
Gorgeous.
It was the first one was so beautiful. It still holds up. I mean, and it will hold up forever because it just was
Ben Proctor, David Levy, John Park.
Yeah, as
all
far
those
as
guys are so amazing.
Because as far as the artists, are these artists like who do you look up to? Who do you follow most? Would you say
who
like
do
the kind of especially
most
sculptors, painters, classical painters? It could be anything, but.
That's a tough one. There's just because there's so much. There's literally so much to look at and get inspired from.
Sure. I mean, you've got quotes from Ian McKeag on your website, and there's guys like Neville Page who are very prominent and have great work. But there's there's so many artists, and I understand that like ZBrush Central, our site, there's so many people on there that we don't even know personally, but you see their work and you just marvel at it,
I'd say Jared Moran's. Jared Moran's is a big one. He's pretty much the reason I'm working in this industry.
And he's a teacher at Noman as well,
He was a teacher at Noman, yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think he teaches at CDA as well. He teaches a lot of places, but yeah, he's the one that kind of got me my foot in the door. And I'll never, ever forget that.
Yeah.
I love, Neville stuff. I love Ian McKeag. Ian McKeag is probably one of the best people on the face of the earth, I think, in my opinion.
How so?
He's just a ball of energy and inspiration, and I don't know if he always has the right answer, but it sure feels like he always has the right answer, and you're just like, damn it. Wish I thought of that.
It's written word. It's spoken word. He has spoken. I will do that.
Well, he's just a master of his craft, and I think that's the people that spend the extra time and master their craft like that. Those are the people that I look up to,
Absolutely.
like a Sid Mead or a Ralph McQuarrie.
Sid Mead, of course.
I mean, the list could go on.
Sure.
So many great, talented artists, and I've had an opportunity to work with some of them, and I never thought that would happen. So that's pretty surreal.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing. I'd say nowadays, there's my mentors that I always follow, but the people that inspire me right now are the storytellers.
Yeah.
I'm really into.
So you're pulling
the
inspiration
directing.
from all different things. It's not just looking at 3D artists or you're looking at directors and
I'm looking at directors. I'm looking at writers. I'm looking
Right.
at musicians. Even sometimes a song will, like, if you have free time, it will make you want to sculpt something.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, okay, yeah.
Absolutely.
So inspiration can come from anywhere, really.
Yeah. Do you find that, I mean, as far as looking at other people's work as an inspiration point, you know, sometimes it's sort of a general rule of thumb that sometimes those designs can come in to influence your workflow, right? But do you sort of just subjectively look at these things and take, you know, from it, and as you're watching Star Wars, looking at the color palette and all these things.
Oh, and all the greeble. And
and like the
together.
greeble, you're just, you maybe, trying to get into your head here, but you're extracting enough of that and then still finding a way to keep the designs your own.
Yeah.
Right? To be you, to have your style.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think that it's important, you know, like have you found a way to define your style of art? Because you have, you know,
I think that if you try to, especially for like the concept sculpting game, your style is always going to be present, right? But you're always going to be adapting because you're going to learn a new technique, or someone's going to show you something new on how to do that stuff. So I don't think I've ever truly thought about trying to master a style because I'd rather just keep it fluid and keep it fun and constantly learn.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that's good. I think that's a good way to look at it. And I mean, it's as far as your artwork too. I mean, you guys are working on all these professional projects, and you're working on some big stuff. But are you finding time to do stuff on your own, like personal projects?
Not so much these days.
Get away from monsters and creatures.
I really want to, really work on my scheduling. You know, I'm reading a bunch of books right now. It's just like
trying to find peace and balance.
Yeah, like 99 ways to keep your creative edge going with personal projects and stuff like that. And,
right.
I have the most fun when I'm working on my own stuff.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, sure, like you said, like when you get into sort of work mode, like, okay, we're working on this project, you know, you're working on the division or, you know, any of these projects that we've listed, I'm sure that you have to go into, you know, business mode where it's like, okay, we have this much time and I have to creatively come up with this concept. Yeah. Right. And then it's just about
it's never done. It's just do.
Right. Isn't that the worst where you just, you can never feel like, oh, you know what? That one's done. I can check that box off.
Well, you know, it was like from where I started as an intern, like, I mean, like it was almost unreasonable. It was like 4 pieces a week.
Where were you interning?
I think it was at a design studio. I don't know if it's still around or anything like that.
Yeah.
But, it's one of those things where when you get out there on your own, like you realize that the client actually prefers you to take your time. Some of them. Yeah. Some of them are, you know, can you work tonight?
Yeah.
You're like, what?
It's like 4 in the morning.
Yeah. Okay.
I was sleeping, but now, yes, I will work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it gets it's part of that business, but I think it's good that you're probably trying to find time to get balance for yourself as well.
Yeah, I think it's very important. I mean, I was in, you know, when I was learning ZBrush, it was like 8 hours a day.
Wow.
And when
did you start learning ZBrush? Like, what was the
right in my internship at the design studio? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was crazy. You know, I was taught by Jared Moranz and Jared Krivetsky and a slew of the other guys that were working there, and literally just asked.
You were learning it.
I was learning on the fly.
On the fly. Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. What was that like for you? That
stressful.
Was it?
Very. I was like, oh.
Had you been introduced to digital sculpture? Like, did you?
Not really. I'd kind of played around with it, but I just came out of a class of actual sculpting.
Okay.
Like with clay.
So you had traditional.
So
clay.
I was able to take the knowledge that I had gained from like John Brown's class at Noman.
John Brown's class is amazing.
It's awesome.
I've taken that class
hands
as well.
down. I want to do it again.
He's got such a great way of it, like articulating how he looks at stuff. Yeah, you know, he just words it so well, and you can translate that stuff.
Yeah, I had a blast in my class.
That's cool. Did you do the full character or the?
Yeah, I did a Venom.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
It was like 50 pounds of clay. Like I couldn't even leave. I just donated the clay, but I was like, I can't even lift it.
The last time I was in there, you go into his sculpting room and they just have all the figures along the wall.
It's always amazing. And you know,
so inspiring.
The one I can never get over is like you'll walk in and you'll go, this is student work.
Oh, I know.
Like people that have never touched clay.
Yeah.
And you're just seeing them rock it for the first time, and you're just like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, that's
so
cool.
Asymmetry, you know? Digital world, we get to use symmetry, but in clay, man, you got to do that all.
Unless you're Grissetti.
Yeah. Well,
too good, Grissetti.
I mean, as far as, you know, what you guys have going on now, what do you guys have, in sights for the future? Because I know that like we've talked about, a ton of possible opportunities, but you're working towards going into production, doing, more asset creation, that kind of thing. So is there something that you really want to get on in the future? Any particular project that
oh yeah,
or hopes and dreams?
Yeah, I mean, so the idea of Ironklad was, kind of started with the idea of, I want to get a nucleus. I want to get a nucleus of people that I want to work with all the time, whether that's 5, 6, 7, or 8 people. I want to have diversity in one little room where it's like, a couple concept artists, some producers, some writers, and let's just make new IP all the time, right? Yeah. That's the goal. And right now we're just trying to set that up. We're trying to set up like a commercial department. We're trying to set up a 3D printing department. Yeah. It's we're getting into the point where we might even do mocap. We don't even know. Right. And it's super, super exciting to know that eventually, if things go well, we'll have one of the best sandboxes to play in.
That sounds amazing. Yeah. Well, I mean, do you have any advice? I mean, because you've been very successful at making all of this happen. And
sand gets everywhere, where you don't want
everywhere. It's yeah. I mean, for those that are just getting into this or interested, like, what do you think has been what has gotten you to this point?
Surrounding myself with positive people, hands down. Yeah, hands down. And I don't know if it's a regional thing or anything like that. I'm sure it's not all the same everywhere else, but in the town where I was from, like it was a lot of negative. I mean, like you'd be like, oh, hey, let's shoot our own film, and they'd be like, why would you want to do that? And you say that out here, and they're like, oh, well, all right, let's do it on this weekend. And like, I got this guy, I got this guy, and I got this guy, and you're like, what just happened? Right. And you're like, this is so awesome. And it's like, well, crap, now we have to do it, or now we have to make it, or right. That is what I love about the vibe out here in LA. Yeah, it's like that in San Francisco too. It's up and down the West Coast.
Yeah, it is nice to be surrounded by people of like-minded, that are searching for the same thing or that are trying to do the same thing.
Oh, if you were to go back in time and tell me at 20 that you could just make cool stuff and get paid to do it, I would have slapped you. Yeah. You're like, shut up.
Like, hell yeah, I'm going to make characters for movies and video games. Real. Like, yeah, of course they're going to tell you no, but in today's world now, look at how many movies are driven from visual effects and, that need talented artists and people that can visually, do these things that you guys do. So
I see with the way a lot of people are in the industry, I see a lot of talent in the near future stepping out from behind the Cintiq. Well, I'd say still doing a lot of work on the Cintiq, but and doing more of a director role. Me personally, I would love to see what Ben Morrow's got in his brain. I'd love
Wouldn't
to see.
We all? he's got amazing
I'd love to
work.
see Ian. I know, Ian has a couple projects that he wants to do, and I'm super stoked to see those. Yeah. It's just it's very surreal coming from like being a pizza delivery guy to now knowing people. Right. That are directors and are one step away from like Taylor Swift or it's really strange.
It's incredible to hear like the like the dollar and the dream kind of scenario, or like you were a pizza delivery guy, and then like there's no way that you could predict being where you're at now. But no, somehow
I never would have guessed.
It's incredible, man. Well, I mean, you've got a really inspiring story, and I think that there's so much on the horizon for you guys that we're really looking forward to see what you guys are going to keep doing. And I know you got to get going, but you got a birthday coming up, yeah?
Oh, it was yesterday.
It was yesterday. Happy belated birthday, dude.
Thank you.
What did you do?
Nothing. I just sculpted.
Really?
Well,
that's not a bad thing.
Well, I went out and had a beer, I think, later that night, and it was fun.
Okay.
You have to, right? Let you know you're still alive, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it does.
But it sucked. It was on a Wednesday, so I'm not going to ask people to come out on a Wednesday.
You could have. We would have come.
I could have.
We would have come in.
Well, you know what? You're all invited for this weekend.
Appreciate that, man. Did you get any birthday gifts?
Yeah. I got a couple really cool little toys. I ordered something from THU, and I got my little collectible recently. That was like kind of my present.
Do you have? I'm sure you got a ton of toys.
Oh, too many. You mean tax write-offs?
Yeah, tax write-offs.
Yes,
definitely. You write that stuff up, man. It's part of the business. Yeah. That's it. Smart guy. You keep that stuff at work?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, and there was something I did want to ask you. You guys are your studio, Ironklad Studios. You guys are in West Hollywood. Mm-hmm. You got some interesting people walking around there, huh?
Yeah. Just the other day, we see people like Sean Penn to Billy Bob Thornton.
It's so wild.
Literally right next is Funny or Die is there.
Yeah.
Oprah's network is there. They're constantly doing shows. They're constantly doing all kinds of different things.
Yeah.
Hail Caesar was filmed there. It's a great lot. It's a classic lot. It used to be owned by Charlie Chaplin.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that one. It's a pretty old building. So
yeah, and in some of the management offices, you can see like pictures of like Charlie Chaplin like in a tower, looking at where the Hollywood sign would be.
Wow.
And it's just nothing but oranges. I mean, all the way to the mountains, and you're like, wow. This guy like just created an industry,
right?
And you're just like, it's one of those things where like, yes, there's times where we think that we might want to venture off the lot, but then there's definitely days where it's just like, dude, like this guy created an industry here.
Yeah,
like,
and you look at, and if
God.
you were looking from that same vantage point, you look across Hollywood and you see how much is built up, and now things are building up even more. There's a huge tech industry coming here, and computer software is just going crazy these days. But
that bubble was going to pop in San Francisco. I'm surprised it hasn't happened sooner. I mean, it's about to, I think.
Yeah.
But who knows? I'm not an economist. I don't know.
I don't want to know. I don't want to stress myself out. Those kinds of questions.
I don't want to adult right now. I don't want to talk about
stop
adult
adulting, please. You're adulting too hard right now. No, but I mean, we're so happy to have you here, and it was good to hear your story, and thank the good people at Ironklad Studios for us too. All the other artists you guys have.
Will do.
And there's one thing that I want to do, so I want to ramble off 5 questions.
Okay.
Right? So 5 quick questions. See what your answers are. So
these aren't like the who would you marry, who would you?
No.
Okay, good.
I thought about throwing some twisters in there, but
it's PG-13 here.
I'm not going to do that to you, man. I wouldn't do that to you.
We're here at the beautiful YouTube space, so we can't
right?
talk.
Yeah,
that.
Exactly. Speaking of that, in just that area, we got Konami next door. We've got IMAX headquarters, I think, is next door as well.
Let's go watch the movies.
I know, right? Yeah, I think let's wrap this up and we'll go.
We'll go.
I still need to see Batman vs Superman. You see it?
Yeah.
You saw it, of course.
Oh,
How
yeah.
many times?
I saw it twice.
Twice.
Saw it twice.
How was it better the second time?
I can neither confirm nor deny.
Okay, fair enough. All right, cool. So number 1.
I plead the fifth.
I plead the fifth.
Fifth.
Do you swear? So favorite movie of all time?
Oh,
I know it's a tough question.
I'm gonna say Empire Strikes Back.
Woo! All right. Hey, you know what? Come here, man. I'm with you. Like that debate can be made. I think that it was. Oh, geez, what's his name? The guy that directed Firefly.
Joss Whedon.
Joss Whedon. He made an interesting argument about Star Wars, like as far as because Empire has become sort of like the fan favorite, Star Wars movie of all time.
It ends on a down note. It's not a happy ending,
right? But
I think that's why I like it because it sticks out in my head.
Even as a kid, like I enjoyed how dark the movie was, and it had this mystery to it that was. It made me feel something more than A New Hope was just very. It was a wonderful movie and it was a complete film, but he made the argument that The Empire Strikes Back isn't technically a complete film. It's a part.
It's part
the
one or
first
two
half of the Return of the Jedi. So in turn, The New Hope is essentially the best Star Wars movie. I don't know if I agree with that, but it was an interesting point.
I mean, it started it all.
Yes.
I mean, let's
always
be
have
honest.
to go
It
back
started
to
it
the
all.
original.
Is it in my? Is A New Hope in my top 5 still? Yeah, but and I'm
So many other good movies, though, that
someone is gonna like quote me on this, but I absolutely love 7. I loved 7.
7 was amazing.
Oh my God.
Is there an opinion out there that it wasn't?
There's a few people that didn't share the they were like, it's just A New Hope, and I'm like, and
yeah,
I don't care.
If it works, it works.
Yeah,
and
I don't. Seeing it so many times. Also, I can watch them in different headspaces. You know what I mean? Where I can go during the story or go and study. Like it's a bunch of clever, very very clever role reversals.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
It's like, let's not have Leia be the damsel in distress. Let's put Leia in Luke's spot.
Right. But if those same characters aren't embodied in somebody else still.
Yeah.
But those are the things that we love so much about it, and that's what stuck with people.
I feel they split Luke into 2 characters.
Oh, interesting. How so?
I feel
With
that
Rey
Rey is the Force side of Luke, and I feel that Poe is the pilot side.
Oh, wow.
Right, like,
you're right, because Poe was just the pilot.
And I feel that
just a
Finn is
pilot.
the new C-3PO. He says what the audience is thinking.
Yeah.
He's what, like, there's a lot of scenes where he's just like, and he's very modern with the way he delivers, some of the lines and stuff like that.
It's the comedy influence, right? But it's just up-to-date comedy, something that we all can relate to nowadays. Like C-3PO's jokes are, they're a
little outdated, but
they're a little outdated.
We still love them, though.
Sure, you appreciate that. There's like that nostalgia for it. Like you can't diss C-3PO. It's just not cool, And
then like somehow magically they merged like R2-D2 with like WALL-E and came up with like the greatest damn little thing I've ever seen.
BB-8 was just the coolest robot ever.
Oh man.
Yeah, I agree. And the fact that they did it practically.
Yeah. I love that.
I mean, I saw some of the behind the scenes footage of they made
the guy in the green cart.
Yeah, exactly. And then they had to do the cart version, and then they would digitally composite in.
Yeah.
Like at least, thankfully, my only diss on the Star Wars was R2-D2 in the desert. Just always drove me crazy. Like he's got these little like tiny wheels.
Oh yeah,
and he's supposed to be just trucking through all of these like sand dunes. Like BB-8 makes sense. He can roll and perfect. So that was like a moment for me when I saw it. I was like, yes, okay. And
I was really worried. Just like I remember seeing the trailer and just being like, I don't know if I like this.
Yeah.
And then like you see him that first moment, and you're like, oh my god, they made him so adorable and very very almost like with dog and cat like qualities, and you know what I mean. Like I really think that I can't remember. I know Bill Hader worked on him, like the comedian.
Yeah.
So to come up with like the sounds and the character acting for it, and then there was another guy, and I can't remember his name, but I was always amazed with that.
Yeah.
Really home run. Kudos to the whole ILM team, and
I agree.
Man,
those guys are phenomenal.
Yeah.
They can do no wrong. Geez, man, you brought up Star Wars. See, we tangented. So let me bring it back. Bring it back to the 5 questions. Star Wars, and then we can do a whole podcast on talking about Star Wars. Okay, question number 2 is, it just came out. You just saw it twice. Who wins, realistically, Batman or Superman?
Batman.
Batman?
Batman.
Why do you think that?
Statistically, he's won like 8 out of 10 times.
Yeah.
He has a file on every Justice League person on how to defeat him.
Intelligence, I'm with you. I agree.
He's just better prepared.
He is more prepared, exactly. Whereas Superman is more reliant on his abilities and just, a good guy. Whereas Batman...
Now, I know Ian McKay will just flip over a table because he's soups all the way.
Oh, really?
He's soups all the way. But I got to say that... I gotta say Batman's rich.
See, I will on the flip side. that argument's always been made as like, well, he's a genius and he has billions of dollars in access to all this. Like, well, yeah, okay, but like Superman's not a dummy.
I want them to bring more of the detective into the role.
Yeah.
Now I thought that Ben Affleck did a great job, and the costume, the short-eared Batman, phenomenal.
Yeah.
And like there's scenes where there's things that we haven't seen before, and I really dig that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, there's not enough questions here. Okay, question 2B. Who's the best Batman?
Oh. So this is, you can't say, I have this theory, and it sounds weird. There can't be one actor, because Batman is 2 different characters. And I know that, there's the internet will probably roll over in its grave, but I think that George Clooney was the best Bruce Wayne.
Oh, interesting. No, I wouldn't disagree with you on that.
I think he's the best Bruce Wayne,
but not the best Batman.
Yeah. I think that I want to say, I'm torn between Keaton and
gotta go back to Keaton.
Yeah, and Nolan's version.
Oh, I mean, Nolan's version is just so easy to.
It was good. I liked it.
Yeah, I loved it.
But I will say, if we get a standalone Ben Affleck, be prepared to switch that statement.
You think so?
I think he'll knock it out of the park, especially if he's allowed to direct it.
Oh man, he's doing that. Yeah, I actually haven't been able to see Batman versus Superman, so I'm interested to.
Well, we're gonna go to the IMAX after this.
Oh, that's right. We said that from my bad. Okay, all right. So next question. Man, these are loaded questions, huh?
We're gonna get into the helicopter out here, and we're gonna go.
Yeah, the helicopter. That's what it's there for.
Yeah,
it's just a quick trip to IMAX and take it wherever you want and come back.
It's literally next door.
Yeah, you just move over. Man, there's just so many of them that exist now. Captain America or Iron Man. This is coming out soon.
Okay, so this is hard.
Yeah, it's a tough question.
It's a tough question. I gotta go. Yeah,
you're just going for all the rich guys.
Bet on
Michael's
Rich.
like just all about
bet on Rich. No, I gotta say, I'm a diehard Iron Man fan, but I think Tony's in the wrong on this one.
You think he's in the wrong?
I think he's in the wrong, but I can't wait.
Cap can do no wrong.
This is how, like, even if you just seen the trailer,
yeah,
the scene where he looks up, and he's just like, "But I was your friend," and you're like, that means something because we've watched 8 movies,
sure,
and we feel the rivalry, right? Yeah. You know what I mean?
They did a great job of that. Marvel did an amazing job of establishing those connections and making you care more about that universe.
Oh yeah, they have the model, they have the formula.
Yeah,
and just take my money. Just take my money.
So
you're
going with Cap on this one, huh? Cap.
I'm gonna go with Cap.
As a.
I'm torn.
Yeah,
I'm torn.
But who do you love more? You love Iron Man more.
I love
Tony Stark, man. Robert Downey just kills it. He's amazing. Iron Man really started that franchise. I mean, it started the whole Marvel saga. Iron Man was so good that it was, you could see the writing on the wall for how all the other stories, Thor and Captain America, and then eventually becoming Avengers.
Yeah, and like dude Feige.
Yeah,
dude.
Yeah,
he's like top 5 people I want to work with. Well, him, James Gunn, JJ. JJ's number 1.
They're all
Spielberg.
At your fingertips now.
I know, it's weird. Mm-hmm. It's weird. They're not too far away.
Well, that one degree of connection, right?
Yeah, it's real. It's like the Kevin Bacon connection.
Can you believe it? Yeah, the Kevin Bacon connection, right? Yeah. What was the interview they were watching? Kevin Bacon was making fun of the 80s or kids or millennials. He's like, he was a 2-time nominee of the what's the award for like visual Saturn Award. 2-time nominee, 2-time Saturn Award nominee, Kevin Bacon. It's a good video. All right, let's wrap this up here. So, last comparison question: James McAvoy or Patrick Stewart?
Oh,
best Professor X.
I'm gonna say Deadpool.
Oh,
no, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna say
you caught that though.
Yeah. Oh God. Just soda out the nose on that one. I was like, you got to be kidding me. He broke like 5 walls right there.
Perfectly casted, huh?
Yeah, perfectly casted. I cannot wait to see what they do for 2. Best. Oh, this is tough because it's like it's young versus old. Right?
Yeah, true.
I'm gonna say Patrick Stewart.
You gotta go Patrick Stewart.
You gotta go Patrick Stewart
because it's Patrick Stewart. Yeah. He's the guy. I mean,
I don't know why he was never cast as Mr. Freeze. Holy Jesus, they missed out on an opportunity there.
Well, what did they do? Arnold. Arnold was Mr. Freeze.
No,
with that accent.
Arnold, I love you.
We all love Arnold. You can't not love Arnold. There's I just saw
you cannot love him in that one.
Ah, true, absolutely. There's they do the sing along.
But once again. Arnold, I love Arnold.
They do like a sing along for like Commando. It's like Commando the musical.
Oh it's Predator the musical. Yeah,
so good. Okay, and last question. We'll bring this one back. Are you wearing pants?
No.
Okay. Because if you said no, I was gonna say prove it. If you say yes, I was gonna say prove it. He just came in no pants, ready to go. All right, man. We'll let you go.
That's a Darren Yao move.
Before we go, we're having a hard time coming up with a catchphrase. We want to come up with a catchphrase and all these podcasts, right? And ours are horrendous. We have Z you later at this point.
Yeah, no.
We need some help, dude.
We're gonna need to veto that.
How are we gonna?
We'll have to powwow with that.
We'll powwow with
on the spot. I can't think of.
That's fine. Think about that because for the next time we have you on, we'll have a catchphrase.
Sounds good
for sure. All right, man. Thanks for coming in.
We could have 2 ferns behind us, maybe.
Dude, we can't rip that one. Just do like pine trees or. Oh, you have 1 fern, right?
Yeah.
Or,
the budget cuts. We only had one fern to choose from.
All right. Well, anyways, man. Thanks for coming in, dude.
Bye. Thanks for having me.